Don't show up. You're not part of this family, my dad said the week before my sister's wedding. I texted back, message received. Then I shut down my financial access, froze their cards. 4 days later, the group chat was on fire when she checked her balance and went crazy. It was a Monday morning. I was sitting in my office, sipping coffee that had gone cold, half listening to someone present quarterly numbers, when my phone lit up with a text from my father. Don't show up. You're not part of this family. No context. No explanation. Just that. I stared at it for a long time. The message didn't come out of nowhere. I'd been feeling it for years. Quietly left out of birthdays, group photos, family group chats that I somehow got removed from and re-added to when they needed something. They stopped pretending a long time ago, but I hadn't. I still sent gifts. Still paid off surprise credit card bills. Still wired money for emergencies. They needed me, and that was the only reason I was tolerated. I paid for half of my sister's wedding. Not because I was asked, but because she cried to me on the phone about how dad's card got declined and mom said the venue was non-refundable. I paid for her dress. Her fiancé's tux. Even the stupid flower wall my mother swore would elevate the aesthetic. I didn't ask for credit. I didn't even plan to speak at the wedding. I just wanted to be included. But they didn't want me there at all. I typed out a simple response. Message received. Then I locked my phone, stood up from my desk, and canceled the rest of my meetings. I wasn't angry. Not exactly. What I felt was a kind of emptiness that had been building for years finally click into place. Like there it was. Confirmation. I was a wallet with legs. Not a sister. Not a daughter. Not family. By the time I got home that evening, I had a list. I logged into every account they had ever connected me to. Froze every card. Cut off every allowance. Cancelled every auto payment that ran through my name. My dad's credit card? Deactivated. My mom's Amazon Prime with my bank info? Gone. My sister's gas card that she thought was paid by a wedding sponsor? Shut down. I even locked them out of the family phone plan. I'd set it up 10 years ago when I got promoted, and they never once offered to pay a cent of it. They had built their lives on the assumption that I wouldn't walk away. I didn't just walk. I slammed the door and changed the locks. 4 days later, I got the first real taste of fallout. My phone lit up with 20 missed notifications from the family group chat I'd muted ages ago. The ones I could read in the preview were already chaos. My sister had been trying to pay for a spray tan. Declined. Then guess. Declined. Then her hotel room for the bachelorette weekend. Declined. Then came the storm. She was losing her mind in the chat. Demanding someone explain why her card was dead. Why everything was screwed days before the wedding. My mom was panicking because her grocery delivery account stopped working mid-checkout. My dad said someone must have hacked their finances. I didn't respond. I watched it all unfold from my couch. And then I did something I hadn't done in years. I turned off my phone, opened a book, and ignored them. They had no idea what was coming next. Because cutting them off wasn't the end. It was only step one. By Saturday morning, it was complete chaos. When I turned my phone back on, it took a full minute to catch up. The group chat had over 200 unread messages. My sister had created 2 new group chats after getting kicked out of the original one for spamming. My mom had texted me privately 3 times with vague attempts at niceness. Things like, "Hope you're doing okay," and "Just wondering if maybe something's wrong with the cards?" As if she hadn't been forwarding jokes about my sad workaholic lifestyle to my cousin last month. I didn't reply. Instead, I logged into my shared financial dashboard one last time and closed the master account. The one that quietly linked all the others. Every subscription, every bill, every auto payment they'd connected to me, it was all gone. I left a short, cold email to the support team and deleted the account. Then I booked a facial. Self-care, I guess. Later that day, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Then another. Then a third. This one was my mom finally using her actual number. The voicemail was long and rambling. She was confused about why her internet was shut off and why her prescription refill didn't go through. She said my dad was upset and couldn't understand why the lawn service guy said his checks were bouncing. She started crying near the end, but not once did she apologize. Not once did she say they were wrong. Just that they needed help. When I didn't call back, the tone shifted fast. By Sunday night, I got a message from my uncle. "Call your mom. Your sister's freaking out. "Your dad is losing it." That one made me laugh out loud. They had no idea just how deep I was willing to take this. What they didn't know, what they never cared enough to find out, is that I owned partial rights to the house they were living in. My name was on the refinance paperwork they'd begged me to sign 8 years ago. I'd been paying the mortgage for the last 3 years quietly because they were always a month behind. So I called the bank and started the process of removing my name from the home. It triggered a clause they'd ignored. If one party pulled out without transferring ownership, the balance was due within 90 days. And they didn't have the balance. Not even close. The house they lived in wasn't just their home. It was the backdrop of every family photo, every holiday dinner. The place they always pointed to when they said they'd made it. They thought it was safe. They were about to lose it. On Monday I got a single text from my dad. "What the hell are you doing?" I didn't reply. Instead I emailed the wedding venue anonymously. I knew my sister hadn't finished paying the final balance. She was counting on a last-minute deposit to cover it. That deposit was supposed to come from a joint investment account I'd set up in her name 5 years ago. She thought it was hers. It wasn't. I liquidated it that morning. By Tuesday she was live posting on Instagram about how people were jealous and sabotaging her big day. Her friends were resharing it. I watched from a burner account. Every comment was a little dagger. People asking why the venue canceled, why the flowers never arrived, why the hotel suddenly said the bridal suite was no longer available. She was unraveling. Publicly. And I hadn't even started on the real part yet. Because revenge doesn't just mean cutting people off. It means making sure they finally understand what it feels like to be used and left behind. And I wasn't done. Not even close. By Wednesday they were officially broke. The wedding was in 3 days. My sister's last hope was a backup credit card in our mom's name, which I'd only recently learned about. She used it for emergencies. I remembered the name of the credit union from a slip-up during a phone call last year and did some digging. Turns out it was tied to the same shared billing address I'd frozen everything under. One call and one identity verification later, I flagged it for suspicious activity and froze that too. They were officially out of options. And the countdown was ticking. At 3:17 p.m. I got a screenshot forwarded to me by an old college friend. My sister had posted a story. "Some people will do anything to ruin what they can't be part of." Sad really. But love wins, ring bouquet sparkles. There was a shaky picture of her crying in a bathrobe with her wedding makeup trial half done. No context, just vibes. She wanted sympathy. She wanted drama. She wanted to play the victim before anyone asked questions. What she didn't realize was that the real story hadn't even gone public yet. A few hours later I sent an anonymous tip to a small business news site I knew monitored public court filings. I provided a little trail. Records showing my dad's company had been taking small business loans under my name, using my credit as collateral. He never thought I'd notice. He had done it quietly over the years, forging digital signatures on papers he assumed I never read. But I'd read them. And I had proof. I sent over scanned documents, statements, even a phone recording from last year when he'd casually admitted to moving things around to keep the family business from collapsing. That story hit the local news by Thursday morning. He didn't just lose his business license. He lost his job, his public credibility, and the one thing he valued more than anything else, his pride. For years he walked around like he was the reason we stayed afloat. He told people I helped a little, but made it clear he was the real backbone. Now everyone knew the truth. My inbox started flooding. Cousins, neighbors, even a distant aunt I hadn't spoken to in 5 years suddenly wanted to check in. I didn't answer any of them. That same night my mom called me twice. Left a voicemail saying she was disappointed in how I'd handled things. That she didn't raise me to be cold. That family should be above money. That voicemail came from the same woman who just 1 week ago said I shouldn't come to my own sister's wedding because it would make things awkward. I blocked her number. By Friday the venue was cancelled. The cake was never picked up. The bridal party group chat had leaked screenshots of my sister begging people to chip in, to save what was left of the wedding. They were confused. Some angry. A few dropped out entirely. And that was the day I called in the final move. They're home. I got a confirmation email that the formal foreclosure process had been triggered. 90 days to settle the full balance or vacate. I knew they couldn't do it. Not without liquidating everything. And even then they'd barely cover half. They were going to lose the house. Not just their dream wedding, not just their fake business reputation, not just their little empire of lies. The house too. Everything they built on me was about to come crashing down. And I wasn't done watching yet. Saturday was supposed to be the big day. The wedding invites said 4 p.m. at a waterfront estate just outside Charlotte. I'd seen the place online when I helped book it months ago. Back then my sister called me in tears because they were asking for a non-refundable deposit and my dad's client payment hadn't come through. I wired the money the same day thinking it would mean something. It didn't. By the time the first guests started arriving at the venue, everything was already falling apart. There were no staff. No florals. No tables. Just a locked gate and a handwritten sign taped to it. Private property, event cancelled. People stood around in suits and dresses, confused. A few called the venue, got nothing but voicemail. Some tried calling my sister, but she'd stopped answering hours earlier. I watched all of this unfold on Instagram stories and Facebook posts. It was surreal. Distant cousins trying to smile through the awkwardness. A group of bridesmaids taking selfies in the parking lot with passive-aggressive captions like, "When you get dressed up for a wedding that ghosts you." The bride. Silent. She wasn't at the venue. She wasn't with friends. She was at a holiday in off the interstate, according to her best friend's now-deleted story. Word was she had tried to book another venue last minute using someone else's card. It didn't work. I imagine that morning she probably still believed something could be salvaged. That someone would swoop in and save her. That the world owed her a happy ending. It didn't. The groom's side had started asking questions days ago. His parents had apparently fronted some money too, and now they were seeing all the cancellations and wondering where their savings had gone. It was only a matter of time before they got lawyers involved. My sister had told them I was still helping, that I'd confirmed payments. She lied to everyone. By Saturday night the truth had started leaking. One of the groomsmen finally posted a story that didn't hold back. Turns out the whole thing was a lie. Money's gone. Venue ghosted. Bride disappeared. Hope she figures her life out. It spread fast. The wedding that was supposed to be the family event of the year became a local punchline. A cautionary tale. People whispered about it at work. My cousin sent me a photo of one of the wedding favors. Tiny candles with their initials on them, dumped in a box near a trash bin. Dozens of them untouched. I still hadn't said a word. Not publicly. Not in the group chat. Not in response to the 2 texts from my sister that finally came through. The first one just said, "What did you do?" Second, "Why would you do this to me?" I didn't answer. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I knew the silence would eat at her more than anything I could write. This wasn't just about the wedding. It never was. This was about every time they made me feel like an outsider while they used my money to pretend they had it all together. Every time they said I was too serious, too cold, too different to be part of them. Every time they took and took and took, and never once asked what it cost me. Now they knew. And I wasn't finished yet. Because it turns out when you burn bridges the fire can be pretty useful. It lights up everything. Even the secrets they thought would stay buried. Sunday morning I expected silence. Instead I woke up to 30 new messages from numbers I didn't recognize. Some were local area codes. Some weren't. I assumed they were connected to my sister. Friends, old classmates, maybe people she owed money to. One was a woman I didn't know who opened with, "Hi, I think we may be related. Can we talk?" Asterisk asterisk. I didn't answer any of them. I already knew what they were about. By noon a cousin finally called me directly. I let it go to voicemail. He was panicking. She said my dad had gone crazy, that there were foreclosure notices on the front door, that someone from the county had shown up asking questions about unpaid property taxes and a lien on the house. My dad was yelling, my mom was crying, and my sister had locked herself in a friend's apartment across town. She begged me to undo it. Said it wasn't too late to fix it. But it was. It had been too late for years. That same day the business story finally hit Facebook. Not a major outlet, just a few local pages that follow small-town gossip. Someone reposted the court filing I'd anonymously tipped off earlier in the week. The one showing my dad had taken out a series of fraudulent loans under my name, failed to repay and triggered a default. One commenter asked, asterisk, "How do you do that to your own kid?" Another replied, asterisk, Maybe he thought she wouldn't notice. Guess he was wrong. Sis. By Monday morning the calls stopped. I think they realized I wasn't going to swoop in and fix anything. That night I checked the shared folder I still had access to from years ago. It was a cloud account my mom used for family photos and scanned documents. She forgot to lock me out. Inside I found everything. Tax forms, insurance paperwork, letters from credit companies. Most unopened. And one thing I hadn't seen before. A letter addressed to me, never sent. Dated 2 years ago. It was from my sister. She had written it during a rough patch. Right after a failed engagement that no one talks about anymore. She thanked me for helping her pay rent. Said she knew they didn't always treat me right. That she felt like the family made me earn a spot that should have always been mine. That she wished things were different. Then, apparently, she deleted the draft and went back to pretending I was just the backup plan. I didn't cry when I read it. I didn't feel moved. It was just confirmation. He knew. They all did. They knew what they were doing and they did it anyway. And they only wanted me around when something needed fixing. The moment they thought they didn't need me anymore, they told me not to show up. So I didn't. Not to the wedding. Not to the collapse. Not to the aftermath. By Wednesday, the house officially went into pre-foreclosure. I got an update from the bank. My removal had triggered a clause that accelerated the due date. They had 60 days left to pay it in full or vacate. But I'd already seen their accounts. They couldn't even afford movers, let alone a balloon payment on a 5-bedroom home in a gated neighborhood. The same house they'd hosted Christmas in. The same one they'd always used to make me feel like I was the poor relative, even though I paid the mortgage. Now they were selling furniture online just to stay above water. My mom posted a listing for the dining set. My sister listed designer heels she never paid for. The captions all had one thing in common: urgent sale. Moving soon. They didn't say where they were going. They didn't know. And I still hadn't spoken to any of them. Not because I was angry anymore. I wasn't. I felt clean. Empty but clean. Like I'd finally taken my name off something I never belonged to in the first place. I knew they would never recover fully. But that wasn't my goal. I wasn't trying to destroy them. I just wanted them to see what life looked like without me holding everything together. And now they were seeing it. Every single day. It's been 3 weeks. The house is listed below market. Desperate pricing. I check the listing sometimes just to see how far it's dropped. The photos still have family pictures blurred out on the walls, like they're trying to hide the people who used to live there. Who used to pretend they had it all. No one's reached out since the last call from my cousin. I guess they finally got it. My sister deleted her Instagram. My mom's Facebook page is a ghost town. My dad hasn't shown up in any public records since the court filing went live. I don't know if they're still living together. I don't care. I got a single email last week. No subject line. Just one sentence. You got what you wanted. Hope it was worth it. I stared at it for a minute. Thought about replying. But I didn't. Because I did get what I wanted. Not revenge. Not chaos. Just freedom. The silence that used to feel like punishment now feels earned. And permanent.